So, of course, today, Michael, we are reviewing Nomadland because it won Best Picture at last year's Oscars, because currently this year's Oscars are going on, or they will have finished once this gets uploaded. But something that also happens at this time of year, close to the Oscars, is the Razzies. And the results, I'll have you know, Michael, are in. I'm sure you're happy about that, right?
Don't you mean the Razults?
Yes, the Razzles. So, the Razzie Awards...
Don't you mean the Razzie Awards?
Shut up. So, Diana the Musical scoops 9 Razzie Awards as Worst Hollywood Film of the Year. So, it went up against Spencer, didn't it, Michael?
Yeah, that would make sense, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so, good news for Spencer. It is better than Diana the Musical. It could have been worse. And yeah, it smashed everyone. I did not like the fact that LeBron James also won a Razzie for Worst Actor.
Oh, in Space Jam.
Yeah, for Space Jam: A New Legacy, which also received Worst Remake, Ripoff, or Sequel, and Worst On-Screen Couple, probably him and Bugs Bunny. Which I just think they're just big Michael Jordan fans, or they hate the Lakers. And it's not very popular in LA to go against LeBron in the Lakers, so that's not good for the Razzies. But also Jared Leto received Worst Supporting Actor for his performance as Paolo Gucci in Ridley Scott's House of Gucci, which I don't know. I think people were pissed off when that got announced, but he might get it again for Morbius. Although that would be worse, that won't be supporting now. And I like this. A new special category was also introduced at the Razzies. Worst performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie. Of course, Red Letter Media have exposed all of the shit he's done, like all of the shitty movies. And the actor went up against himself 8 times within the category. So I don't know what won, but he did win for one of those movies. So yeah, the Razzies, Michael. All caught up, are you?
And I guess you could say that the way that Bruce Willis is able to get these Razzies is by Bruce Force.
You should die hard.
Hello, and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host, Michael, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Luke. And this week, we are celebrating the Oscars, which are happening as we speak. That's not true, but happening around the time that we're speaking. And, of course, one of the things we have been doing, is looking at the films that were nominated for Best Picture last year. We have a few more films to look at, but of course, for this time, the Oscars are so early this year, just ridiculously early, and with that in mind, we've had to bring forward Best Picture so we can look at that now, and thus, yes, we're looking at Best Picture. You all know what it is.
We have to bring forward? What are you talking about?
I'm saying, so basically what I'm saying is that we're looking at, the rest of the nominations to next week. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what we did last year as well.
Yeah, okay, you know what? I can't believe we had to do it last year. I didn't even remember we had to do it last year. The Oscars were so late last year, and we still had to look at the rest of them. Fine. Well, I guess there's precedent for it. But the important thing is that whatever else...
We're doing Nomadland.
We're doing Nomadland. And I think maybe in the spirit of that, we should turn this into a Nomad podcast, where you don't get mad at me, even if I get the box office and budget completely wrong. Does that sound like fun?
No, I don't get mad at you anymore. I laugh at you.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
That's turning it into a game for me.
So it already is a Nomadland.
Yeah, it is a good movie. If something gets mad at you, turn it into a game, and then when shit like that happens, then you can laugh at it. So, if anyone's a therapist out there, use that tactic on your patients. But anyway,
yeah, especially if your patients really piss you off, then you can laugh at them.
Yeah, exactly. So Nomadland. No, sorry. Yeah, it's just Nomadland. Is a 2020 American drama film written, produced, and edited by Chloe Zhao, based on the 2017 non-fiction book Nomadland: Surviving America in the 21st Century by Jessica Bruder. It was written and directed by Chloe Zhao and stars Frances McDormand, David Stratham, Linda May, and Swanky. Good old Swanky.
That sounds like a random joke character having The Simpsons or something. Not Swanky.
Not Swanky. We'll miss you, Swanks.
Swanky feels like when I don't know. Basically, Swanky will be the kind of character who dies, and then you're supposed to really care about them, but you're just not feeling it.
They didn't, and then they didn't die in the end, but they have to go anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so something like that. So anyway, the movie was released on February the 19th, 2021 in the United States. So of course, last year the cutoff was February the 28th for movies that were allowed to be eligible for last year's Oscars. So just got in there. So yeah, Michael, do you want to have a guess of the budget for Nomadland?
Well, I feel like the whole point of this living in a van thing is that it's quite cheap. So I feel like based on that, like how expensive, like you literally could have lived the lifestyle of this woman probably for less than the budget of most. Well, that's a pretty obvious thing to say.
Oh, that's kind of interesting you said that.
Yeah, but I'm kind of just like thinking to myself that based on that, like how can it be that expensive? Like what could they have spent money on? So, but obviously, sorry, I should say, obviously Frances McDormand is quite famous. So like that's the thing I'm kind of aware of. I don't think anyone else is. Like, how much does Swanky come out? What Swanky's agent asking for? I mean, I'm thinking like my brain. I mean, no. Let's be honest, not my brain. My heart.
Just have a guess.
My gut is telling me for 3 million.
Oh, it's 5.
Good. So I would have gone. I would have gone for It's like either way, I would have got it.
Okay, so you don't get less than half, so no mark for you. Anyway, let's go to the box office now, Michael. How much do you think Nomadland raked in at the box office? And it was not released on Netflix or Amazon Prime.
£100 million.
Or any other streaming service.
Okay, well that's weird. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess obviously it would probably make sense that this film was planning on, like, this film must have profited a bit off having, one.
Oh no, shit! I'm just looking. It was released on Hulu on the same day. I did not know that.
Oh wow, that's interesting. But still, yeah. I mean, I would think like this film must have profited a bit off like winning Best Picture, but also at the same time, who cared about the Oscars last year? So that's kind of my challenge. I'm like, well, people would have been like, oh, Nomadland won Best Picture. That would have motivated some people to see it, but how many people really cared? These are the challenges I face.
Come on, we need a guess, Michael.
I'm gonna guess it made. God, it could be like super low, but it could be kind of high. Like, I'm not saying like super high. I kind of want to guess the budget of 5 million, but that seems no. Is that too high? I'm just.
Come on, Michael. Can I have a guess, please?
Fine. I'm gonna go for 5 million.
We have our first less than half of the year. Because the actual budget was, box office was 39.5 million.
Okay, yeah, I don't think I would have got close to that.
About 8 times away from what you guessed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the first time this year you have guessed less than half for a box office return. So yeah.
Oh, well done, mate.
Let's see if that is trend continues or not. But anyway, Michael, let's go into the actual movie Nomadland. Did you like this movie?
Oh, Luke, I feel like I'm going to sound like such a Philistine. But I kind of found this film quite boring.
Yeah, I can appreciate it, but I'm not. I think I was just frustrated more than anything by the ending.
Yeah.
Say it was boring. I enjoyed it for what it was, but then it just at some point it just when the plot is meant to kick in, it can meander around a bit as it does. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to do like a slice of life kind of thing. But then at the end, you're gonna have to give me something because it's the end of the movie, what actually happens in the plot, and it just did not, unfortunately, satisfy me. And it was that ain't great. But anyway, we're gonna get into it. But firstly, Michael, how many nitpicks do you have?
I have one nitpick.
Okay, so do I. So you go first.
Yeah, I can't believe she didn't meet any vloggers. And I want to bring this, say this now because it's also a good opportunity for me to mention the fact that, like, if you go onto YouTube, and this is part of why I say I found this film boring, because about like halfway through, I couldn't help myself, but like, because the whole time I was thinking like, oh wait, I've seen people do like these van conversion things on YouTube, but I've been like, hey guys, let me show you my van, like, and I like show you where everything's tucked away, and I kind of actually paused the film halfway through and ended up watching one of those because I just had it in my mind the whole time. I was like, yeah, I've seen those videos, and like people will be, and anyway, after I watched that, I then returned back to the film. And thought to myself, yeah, actually, it's kind of, you would think, really, this is obviously set relatively recently in terms of, like, date. I don't know if they actually put an exact date on it. They probably do, and I probably missed it.
Well, they actually, they talk about the fucking plant closing in Empire in 2011.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I kind of thought it was early 2010s. That was what I was thinking.
Yeah,
So,
early
yeah.
2020s,
Yeah.
but maybe a bit too early
Yeah,
for
the
your
vloggers.
vlog.
Yeah. It kind of makes sense. But okay, I'm still gonna say it because I thought it was kind of a funny nitpick. Because you would have, like, I like to imagine that when she went to space, you would have got like these kind of like young early 20s girls who just be like, "Hey guys, we're doing a road trip," and like filming themselves, real Tana Mojos just out there.
Okay, yeah. I think we're a few years away from that.
I know,
I don't think it really would have meshed with the tone of the movie.
I think it would have made it like you would have just had like the woman like getting a migraine and like someone's taking a picture like, yeah, I'm gonna use that as the thumbnail, like, and then she like later on she's scrolling through YouTube and she's like a clickbait video like, woman died next to me while I was camping out in my van. Not clickbait.
Okay. Anyway, so my nitpick is, why would you put this, these sentimental, priceless in terms of your value towards them, family heirlooms in a box, which is then the wrong way round, and you are just basically asking for trouble. Then I don't know why you do that.
Self-sabotage. It's the only explanation.
Yep, but yeah, she of course glued them back together. But that's on her. That's not the fucking Dave guy's fault.
Yeah, that's true.
For doing that.
Check your boxes. Every other box was fine, and to be honest, it didn't even seem like the stuff in that box was that heavy. So yeah, it literally was just like, yeah, she didn't do a good job.
Yeah, no. But anyway, Michael, let's get on to this movie. So of course, like we said, we are reviewing this movie now because just tomorrow, Michael, or I guess 2 days from now, because it's in the early hours of Monday morning for us in the UK, is when the Oscars are happening. And this, of course, won Best Picture at last year's Oscars. So naturally, we are reviewing this movie. And yeah, Nomadland is of course, movie which won Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress for McDormand. 3 big awards from a total of 6 nominations as well. Zhao, I do think I'm saying that right, by the way.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in Formula One called Guan Yu Zhou.
Oh yeah.
Who starts with ZH as well. So this is Zhao.
Yeah, that is. I get. Yeah, because I think I've heard that. Yeah, it can be pronounced Zhou.
Yeah, Guan Yu Zhou, but this is Zhao. Anyway, the first woman of color, obviously the first Asian woman, the first woman of color, and the second woman ever to win Best Director.
Whoa.
Jane Campion's going to be the third.
Well, we'll see.
Because she is my lock of the week. Oh, you picked Kenneth Branagh, you misogynist.
Yeah.
But,
I just don't think they can't do like too many women in a row. Otherwise, like people might start thinking the fedoras have a point.
Okay. McDormand became the first woman and 4th person to win Academy Awards for both acting and producing, and the first person ever to win Academy Awards as producer and performer for the same film. So there you go. Very, very impressive. So yeah, obviously this movie picks up a ton of accolades. Frances McDormand, who was one of the reasons why this movie, of course, exists in the first place, picked up Best Actress, and Chloe Zhao, of course. She wrote the movie, directed it, got the two Oscars for that, even though didn't win Best Cinematography or Best Screenplay, but Best Director. Yeah. And Best Movie. I don't know how.
Well, all the credit goes to Frances McDormand then. She produced it, and her performance is the only thing that can presumably have credited this film.
Her performance was so much better than any other fucking best performance in any of the other movies nominated for Best Picture. That catapulted it.
I know, yeah, it's crazy, because I often feel like how it's a bit weird that in theory somebody could give a really, like, a film winning like Best Actress or whatever else. Like, in theory, a film could be complete garbage and still have a great performance in it. And like that wouldn't make it a good film. But I guess by this logic, like if a film can just based on winning Best Performance or Best Actress be the best film of the year, maybe actually a Best Performance can just elevate any film. Maybe
that's the reason. Anyway, so Michael, like I said, this movie was incredibly critically acclaimed. Obviously, Best Picture winner, and Chloe Zhao, Best Director winner. She is not from America, Michael. Where is she from?
Well, Canada?
What?
I mean, I just thought because like there's quite a large Chinese community in Canada in Vancouver.
So you go back a few words, Michael, and you've got the right answer.
Oh, I see. A large country. I get you. Well,
tell me, where is she from?
I guess she's from China.
She is from China. Well done.
Yeah. To be honest, I actually was thinking. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that you were trying to bait me. Not like obviously when you said just then, but I thought what was going to happen. You were going to say she's not from America. See, the reason I said Canada is because I actually thought this was what was going to happen. I thought you were going to say she's not from America. Where's she from? And I was going to say China, and you're going to go, okay, you racist. You think just because somebody's like ethnically Chinese, it must mean they come from China?
No, I just thought you weren't dumb enough or just knowledgeable enough to know that she is actually from China. I just thought you'd know that. So my bad for thinking you knew stuff about these directors.
I don't know. Well,
what country is Jane Campion from?
Jane Campion, Canada.
No, she's not from...
Is she from New Zealand?
Yes, she is from New Zealand. Well done. I thought you might say Australia, but no, you said New Zealand. But anyway, so Zhao and the film's success prior to and leading up to the Golden Globes and the Oscars were initially praised on Chinese social media outlets, as well as official state-controlled news media. So this is the reaction in China, Wow, like a Chinese director might win Best Picture and Best Director. However, after the Golden Globes, Zhao was scrutinized by Chinese netizens, I don't know what those are, over her remarks in a 2013 interview for Filmmaker magazine, in which she described China as a place where there are lies everywhere. In response to the controversy, Nomadland was pulled from the theatrical release by Disney China, and the 93rd Academy Awards were censored by Chinese media outlets, along with all mention of Zhao or the film on social media.
See, people always attack that actress from Mulan for saying that the Uyghurs fucking had it coming. But to be fair, if she didn't say that, then the Chinese people wouldn't have been able to watch the glorious film Mulan. So, that's why you gotta, think about it. If Chloe Zhao had just shut up and said that the Chinese government is great and hasn't done anything wrong, all of those Chinese people could be experiencing this wonderful film. She's kind of selfish.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the thing is, obviously, what is crazy about this is the fact that this movie wouldn't have been banned if it wasn't so hyped, because then the Chinese government or whoever fucking goes through this stuff would have seen her interview from 2013. If she hadn't have won the Golden Globes or the Oscars, nobody would care. But yeah, the thing is, it's an interview from 2013, and she says, a place where there are lies everywhere. I mean, all you need to do is, if you're Chloe Zhao or China, it's like, no, she means people are just very deceitful in China, not the government.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah. You should say, people, the government needs to crack down harder to stop all of the liars.
Yeah, or the capitalist pig liars or whatever.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they use that rhetoric.
She could have said, there's lies everywhere because there's lies all around China. In China you're surrounded by lies because all of the borders of China are just surrounded by the liars of South Korea and India.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't know. China is so stupid. They shoot themselves in the foot here because it's just one remark from a 2013 interview. She doesn't seem to be necessarily anti-China.
Yeah,
and you just this is massive for you. A Chinese director winning Best Picture. Wow, that's incredible. And you just shut it down. No one's hearing about this. How glorious. Look at what we're doing overseas. We're winning fucking awards. South Korea and Bong Joon-ho, they won last year. Well, now it's China's turn to dominate the world stage in terms of Academy Award filmmaking. Yeah. And Nomadland would have become incredibly popular. It shows the shitty way American capitalism has corroded.
That is the weird thing, because this doesn't make...
They just shoot themselves in the foot. They're not even good at propaganda.
Yeah.
If you're listening, Xi Jinping, hire me to be your propaganda minister. I'll turn this fucking ship around.
Yeah.
You could have used her. Instead, you just fucking killed her essentially in China, which is just stupid.
Yeah, they should have they should have basically written her a blank check, be like, hey, make as many films in China as you like, as long as they're all about how crap America is.
Yeah, just say, that little line. Oh yeah, that was out of
just
context.
Denounce that line and then
just say it was out of context, or you don't even need to denounce it. There was a mistranslation, even though she may have been speaking English in the interview. There was a mistranslation, because of her accent. When she said lies, she meant pies.
Yeah,
so there are pies everywhere in China.
Or maybe it was an aside, she was busy talking about China, and then suddenly she just remembered that she was an American. She was like, "There's lies everywhere," just
Yeah. I mean, I just, again, the Chinese, they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Once again, that is
I think we can all agree that the one bad thing about China's censorship is that sometimes it works against the continuation of the Communist Party's rule.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that needs to change. But anyway, let's get into Nomadland, the actual movie. So, a woman in her 60s embarks on a journey through Western United States, or the Western United States, after losing everything in the Great Recession, living as a van-dwelling modern-day nomad. And this movie basically examines this phenomena, doesn't it, Michael, through the lens of the character Fern? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's basically, it's all about kind of that choosing to be homeless lifestyle. I guess you could say it's kind of about freedom. Obviously, at one point, it's attributed to her adventurous spirit. And yeah, I think this film kind of like shows this novel way of life. And one of the things I was kind of thinking about is actually the film's called Nomadland. And at one point, I did find myself realizing, in some sense, it is like almost a different land when you experience it this way. Like, the land for somebody living this kind of lifestyle is totally different from the land as experienced by somebody who just stays in a house and just, stays put. I was kind of thinking that one, but I was like, yeah, it's like a different country just because their lifestyle's different.
Yeah, no, you are right. Yeah, it is. Obviously, it's a completely different way of living. And yeah, this movie explores, what this lifestyle is and why people join it and continue with it. And we'll get into that, of course. And yeah, I would like to see, my only thing with this movie is you want to heighten the contrast between, of course, because the movie follows Fern, played by Frances McDormand. I'd like to heighten the contrast between this nomad lifestyle and, regular old living. It would be good to see her in her house in Empire, right at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
Basically, before she chose to do the nomad stuff,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're missing that context.
Yeah, and again, so with the plot, it's just basically exploring. There's not really a plot to it, Like I said, it is what it is. It's like an artistic look at this, at this lifestyle, and that is fine for the most part. Like I said, I can bear with it. And you said it's boring. I guess it is kind of boring to some extent, but you settle in and you get used to it, and then it's just a shame at the end because they set things up at the end. Bit by bit throughout the movie, there is kind of a plot, a thin thread of a plot, and then at the end, when you expect there to be a lot of plot, to end the movie, the final payoff at the end, there just isn't.
It ends with a whimper, not a bang, I believe is the expression.
Yeah, that is the phrase indeed. But anyway, I just have to say, with this movie, I'm impressed just how much Chloe Zhao, well, because she wrote this movie, she directed it, and I'm impressed that she displayed this lifestyle so well, because of course, this is completely different to, like, her life, and how I'll tell you how she got into it. Frances McDormand and Peter Spears optioned the film rights to the book in 2017, and they saw Chloe Zhao's film The Rider at the 2017 Toronto International Film Festival, and McDormand decided to approach her about the project, and she met with Zhao at the 33rd Independent Spirit Awards in March 2018, and Zhao agreed to write and direct the film. So that's how it went down, and so yeah, she basically probably didn't know anything about this. Considering her life in general, and Frances McDormand came to her with this project, and got a best picture out of it. So Frances McDormand really knows what she's doing.
No, she basically just totally coached Zhao. But no, I mean it is kind of interesting. I do think
I wouldn't say coach, by the way. That's the wrong word to use.
Just I like to imagine. Well, I don't know. I mean, see, you hear about like method actors. It would have been interesting if she would do like a method director thing.
That's what she did.
Oh, she did? Oh, okay.
So, filming for Nomadland took place over 4 months in the fall of 2018, with Zhao splitting time between set and pre-production for Eternals, which is funny.
Yeah.
McDormand, Zhao, and other crew members lived out of vans over the course of production.
Wow. Okay, that's fun.
Yeah. No, it is fun. They really got into it.
That's like such a good kind of way of saving money. It's just gonna be like you're suddenly gonna see like all of Hollywood be like, we got to make films about poor people.
Yeah,
just that way. Like, no, I'm afraid you can't eat because you're making a film about like hunger strike victims or whatever.
No, that's a new way to fucking rip off the workers.
Yeah,
the union busting thing to a new level.
No, that's true. Especially like with the union busting. I mean, Jane Campion's from New Zealand, so like that's prime for it.
The one fucking fact about New Zealand
is the union
busted.
I don't know. I would like on the record, just in case anyone doesn't know, I did do a case study for my master's in media and development on New Zealand's union busting.
Yeah,
so
great,
thank you. I'm
great,
glad we remember
wonderful.
that. But no, I agree. It's like that's actually pretty cool that she like immersed herself in this life and kind of. Well, I mean, the thing is, having said that, obviously, we don't know exactly how accurate it is. But like, obviously,
well, I'd say it seems pretty. If they're including like real people like Swanky.
Oh that's true.
In the actual movie, and what was the Linda May? That was the other one.
Yeah, that's anyway, good. And that's like a smart thing to do.
Yeah, no, it is. It's the authenticity is great.
It's like almost like a documentary at that point when you think about it. Like, I never really thought about that.
Yeah, it's kind of a half documentary. Yeah, but the two main characters are actually actors. But anyway, in 2011, Fern lost her job at the US gypsum plant in Empire, Nevada, which is a great name for a town, I will say.
Yeah.
Empire. She worked there for years along with her husband, who recently died. Fern sells most of her belongings and purchases a van to live in and travel the country searching for work. She takes a seasonal job at the Amazon Fulfillment Center through the winter. Linda, a friend and co-worker, invites Fern to visit a desert rendezvous in Arizona, organised by Bob Wells, which provides a support system and community for fellow nomads. Fern initially declines but changes her mind as the weather turns cold and she struggles to find work in the area. So immediately with this opening, I guess, 20 minutes of the movie, you can just see the devastation of the global recession, or the Great Recession as it's called in this movie. I just call it like the 2008 recession or whatever.
Yeah, I think calling it great would be better.
Yeah, you really get a sense of how awful it was. Just, yeah, and you know what? She wouldn't be in that position if Labour just didn't spend too much money, but they did.
No, yeah, that is true. I can't believe, you just really get that impact of them.
Oh, God, that's one of the most annoying things about British politics. But anyway, let's leave that for another time. So, just the hopelessness, and the scrambling for something, basically, that she finds herself in this situation where she has to do that. I mean, yeah, and the thing is, there are plenty of horror stories coming out of Amazon, and Amazon is seen as like a positive in this woman's life. Like, well, at least she's got Amazon.
Yeah, that's true.
At least she's fucking got some work at fucking Amazon. And yeah, afterwards, just the inability to find any work at all. The word that comes to mind is just bleak. And that's communicated, I think, very well. There's just, you're completely isolated in America if you find yourself in this situation, and it really is, just like an indictment of modern capitalism, as is said in The Honest Trailer. And I agree, because it's like this woman has just been she's just lost everything. She's got nothing, and there's nobody to help her. And yeah, it's it is really good opening 20 minutes and just showing just how devastating the United States economic system can be, and was after the global recession. Michael,
I mean, obviously the thing with it is, I guess, like, considering this film won Best Picture and also was by an Asian and critiques capitalism, it is worth noting that it kind of automatically leads you to compare this to Parasite, and you've got to realize that...
Okay, no, I mean, not really.
Well, yeah, I don't know,
the Asian bit is just a bit of a stretch, I would say.
Okay, I'm sorry. No, but the thing is, like, I guess the only point I want to make is that, like, I do agree. I think it's worth noting that, like, you could say that the, like, critique of capitalism is a little bit, like, it's not exactly saying anything super intelligent about it, I guess. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but it's kind of like, and I'm not saying that's bad, but I guess I
don't think it's saying anything intelligent. It's just demonstrating very well. It's like authentically demonstrating.
I would say it's almost like this is kind of, and again, I'm comparing it to Parasite, just because it was like, apart from anything else, it was like the last Best Picture winner. I would say like Parasite was more of like an intellectual critique of capitalism, and this is more like a kind of emotional critique, which is fine. But yeah, I do think you could say that the criticism of capitalism...
It's a more realistic
that's it.
Well.
I
think that's pretty crucial. It's more realistic.
Yeah.
You're unlikely to find yourself in a situation like
Parasite. That's true, yeah.
Yes.
No, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's basically just showing the... and like you have like the whole like company town thing, which I actually watched a video. I don't really remember anything from it, but I was like a video about like company towns and how like they're like actually a thing. I really thought it was just Globex from The Simpsons, but basically that's kind of like this interesting thing where you do have people who like their entire lives are wrapped up with these companies, and then obviously if the companies go bust, that's it, they've got nothing. And yeah, that's obviously very
that's the fucking Rust Belt, isn't it?
Yeah, that is it. They just really do go crazy.
Many towns have just lost like half their population.
Yeah.
And even this town has lost its whole population. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
But and I think there was this review from Rotten Tomatoes, which was Nomadland beautifully captures the restlessness left in the wake of the Great Recession. That was a part of the review I saw. And yeah, it does. It's displayed very, very well. It's realistic and it's bleak, and that is as true as you can get to the situation that people like Fern, of course, in real life found themselves in after the recession. But anyway, Frances McDormand basically, Fern, of course, is forced then into this nomadic lifestyle. It's like she's not looking for it. She doesn't initially want to become a nomad, but that this is a path. This is like a way out for her, because it's a way for her to be self-dependent. She doesn't want really any charity from friends or the church, which clearly means a lot to her. She still wants to survive in America after the Great Succession, and I guess it is a very interesting topic for a movie, this phenomena of like these nomads, which undoubtedly will have increased after 2008. This movie shows people why people do it. Like, why do people do this? Why do people become nomads? You ask that question, and this movie answers it, I think, pretty damn well. You could easily see how somebody like Fern would become a nomad.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. And obviously, like, that kind of self-sufficiency thing, I mean, it is quite interesting, because a lot of these, like, it's clear a lot of these people are kind of doing it for, like, independence and freedom. And obviously, you could say that's, like, a very kind of American attitude. Like, that's kind of the thing. Like, it is kind of interesting in a way that, like, one of the things they talk about is like, oh, we're going against the system. Like, obviously that whole guy, I can't remember his name, Swells? Is his name Swells? Or am I just totally making it up? Anyway, talks about like them going against the system and breaking down. But then, like, obviously the other woman's like, oh, nomads are like modern day pilgrims. And it's kind of like, you could say in a way they are just emulating still a very kind of American conception of freedom, where it's like rugged individualism and all that. I don't know, yeah. It's I did find that kind of sort of interesting. Like, they do have this focus on not wanting help, which is, in a way, a continuation of this individualism that led to like neoliberal capitalism.
Yeah. I mean, it's the whole system compared to an individual's depiction of themselves. But you have the guy, that, what do you say his name was?
I feel like it Swells, but is that, I might be confusing, I might be combining his name with Swanky, but it's like, the guy who does like the YouTube videos. I think
it's Bob Wells.
Wells, yeah, so I was probably just combining the Wells with the Swanky.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So he looks like Santa, obviously, and he's talking about, all the workhorses being thrown out of society, and this camp has been set up by them to counter, what society has done to them. These people, like Fern, are American workhorses, as we've seen. Like, she's working hard throughout the movie. They've been, good, hard-working Americans all their lives, and society has given them basically a middle finger.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This nomad lifestyle is a refuge, and at the same time, it's a statement. Like, this is the only way we can live, I guess. And the American, I guess, dream to some extent has failed. And if you want to, live true to, I guess, the American values, like you said, of like freedom and individual freedom and all of that, like, and you can't unless you're very wealthy. Like, this is perhaps the only way to do it. Like, this nomad lifestyle. Eric Cohn of IndieWire gave the film an A- and said director Chloe Zhao works magic with McDormand's face and the real world around it, and this is the key bit, delivering a profound rumination on the impulse to leave society in the dust. And that's, this is it's why people do this. Like, society has gave them a massive fuck you. Well, you know what? This is how we're saying fuck you to society. We're becoming nomads. Yeah. And it is a reaction, but a reaction which, again, completely makes sense. And that I guess that's what I thought before I watched the movie for the first time. I was thinking, well, why would people do this? You could never imagine like doing that. Yeah. So alien. Like, why would you be a nomad when houses exist? And by that stage, you realize, I totally get why people would become nomads. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting. Remember, Luke, she's houseless, not homeless, because she has a home. I do think, you can, like, and obviously people have kind of different reasons, which is interesting. Obviously, there's the woman who has the whole thing about, like, the guy who worked all his life thinking, like, oh, when I retire, I'll go on holiday. And then he died just before retirement. And that makes sense, definitely, the idea of people being like, well, it's easier to juggle exploring the world while kind of doing, like, casual work on the side, compared to like just working in an office and like never actually going out and exploring the world and then just being like, well, someday I will. Use your silver, as they say. Don't just leave it in the drawer until it rusts. Like that idea of people being kind of voluntarily homeless is something I have seen. Like, and like, because I remember there was a guy on Reddit who was like, he was homeless. He said he was homeless, but then he had like an Apple Mac or whatever, and obviously not that homeless people can't have nice things. People were like, hey, that's a bit weird. And he was like, well, actually, I'm decently well off. You know, I do work and it's like all right for me. I just am homeless because I'm exploring the world so much. I don't even need a house. You know, sometimes I'll stay in a hostel, sometimes I'll stay in my car, but I don't need a house because I'm just out there exploring the world. And it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you know what? All power to you.
Yeah.
Until you get fucking robbed and you lose your Mac. But, you know, whatever.
Anyway, so I want to talk about, you know, the well, basically what she does here, then Chloe Zhao, is she makes it so that this character Fern, you know, she's like learning the tricks of the trade, and then she's, you know, she joins the nomad lifestyle because, of course, you know, she's kind of forced into it, like I said. But then, you know, you understand that the love people have for their vans, that's communicated well. You know, it's not just a place to survive; it's something more than that. And yeah, that's what I like about it. When, you know, she's spending time with fucking Swanky, it's like, oh yeah, this is not just like, oh, I survived. This is not just a refuge or a statement against society. This can be something where you can then thrive. This can be something where people enjoy living, and it can be perhaps better than normal living. So again, then of course the character Fern learns about that, and through characters like Swanky, which again is just progressing your knowledge and your understanding of why people, you know, why people have this lifestyle. Again, like you said, it's kind of like a documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you Fern's kind of just the navigator, like a fucking viewer would be. But I want to also talk about the shots in this movie, Michael.
Oh yes, because well, obviously the shots in this film are incredible, and that's why we all knew it was definitely going to win for best cinematography.
Remember what won instead?
Mank, which you've already reviewed.
Mank, yeah. What do you think was better, the cinematography in this or Mank?
I feel like this. Having said that, one of the things is this film had like nicer landscapes to film, and you might say I could understand a real like camera nerd being like, oh well, shot composition's about more than just like having a nice landscape or whatever. But yeah, my instinct is to be like, well, like I liked way more of the shots in this than I did in Mank. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I think back to the shots in Mank, nothing really stands out to me.
Yeah.
It just seemed like this was clearly going to be it, because there are a lot of beautiful shots, and, you know, you can only work with what you give, I guess, but, you know, like, the movie looks better because the scenery's better. And, yeah, that's just how it is. I'm sorry, you know. To use a comparison, you know, like in Formula 1, you may have a faster car than another driver, but, you know, you still get more points than him, even though you drove your car exactly this, you know, even though it's hard to measure, of course, but if you drive exactly the same race, like performance-wise, as the guy next to you, but he has a slower car, you finish ahead of him, well, you still get more points. You're still rewarded more. And that's just how I think it should be with this. It's like, yeah, like, she's working with, you know, if you pick this kind of movie, you have to win best cinematography, but the shots are really nice.
Yeah.
I love it when Frances McDormand, she's walking through the camp, and everyone else is, you know, sitting down and the sun is rising, and you've got like the piano music as well. Like it's just very nice. And that's the thing, when you say this movie's boring or whatever, that's when you have to go into a movie, you have to know what to expect.
Yeah.
It's not like a usual movie. So I was prepared for that. I was like, I'm looking forward to seeing this. Yeah, it was nice. It was peaceful. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Nice. The interesting kind of comparison that I'm now thinking of is Roma, because like with Roma, obviously that was like a real kind of like the cinematography and like the shot composition and all that kind of stuff was really where it was at with that. And that was, again, kind of, you could say, a boring film that like not that much happened. And one of the things you had to kind of do is just like experience it. I feel like, and that's obviously something you can do with this film. For some reason, I feel like I preferred Roma, and like right now I'd be like, actually, you know what, I could watch Roma again, but right now
I feel like Roma did have more of a plot.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe, but yeah, I do agree with you that there is this aspect of like you can just kind of sit back and watch this film as more of like an experience rather than
what it is. Just to say, I think a good way to sum it up is it's escapism. It is pure escapism, you know, and that it captures. I mean, the movie is about escapism too.
That's true. Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. So you mentioned the music. I want to say a real quick thing about the music. It's like a quite minor thing, but basically the guy who made the music is called Ludovico Einaudi, and my mum is like quite a big fan of him and has like a lot of his music. So I've heard like quite a bit of his music before. And when I was listening to the music here, I was thinking to myself, this sounds like, for a minute I was thinking like, did they use like Ludovico Einaudi as like temp music and then like kind of just sort of imitate it in like a really kind of, because it was almost like a lot of the tunes sounded like songs he's done before or music he's done before, but like just slightly changed. And then obviously I found out he did the thing, but I was kind of afterwards like, it does feel like, and this is like an incredibly minor thing, not quite enough to be a nitpick, but like the score is good and I like the music, but like it's a bit weird when you've heard some of his other songs and you realize like a lot of the songs in this literally do feel like almost, hey, copy my homework but change it slightly. But it's kind of weird because it's his own homework. Like he's basically just doing songs that are almost identical to other songs he's done, but just like adding in like just these few random extra notes. And yeah, I just found that weird myself, but that's something which I would not expect anyone else to like notice. But yeah, it was like a really weird thing for me where I was like, hold on a minute, like why does this sound like some songs I've heard before by this composer, but just ever so slightly changed? But it's still good music. Just, yeah.
Are you saying he's a hack?
I think, well, I kind of feel like it almost did seem a bit like he phoned it in for this thing where he was like, oh, I've got to do this thing. And it's like, he was like, oh, I can't be bothered to come up with like original new music. Like it really feels like he used his existing music very much as a template and was just like kind of changed it slightly from there. Because almost every single song in this thing I could like actually find, and I was like thinking of other songs he'd done before.
Well, maybe Chloe Zhao, you know, maybe Chloe Zhao fucking asked for the specific music that he'd done already, but just change it up a bit.
Yeah, that is possible. Yeah, it could have been a creative decision. So yeah,
exactly. So yeah, we shouldn't go that far.
There are never mistakes. There are just potential creative decisions.
Yes, exactly. That is a good philosophy to have. So anyway, the Holly. So basically, Michael, just so far, yeah, we talked about the shots. We have to, of course. It is a beautiful movie. It is, and yeah, I think it should have beaten Mank. Hence, it was my lock of the week last year for cinematography.
Yeah,
but
I'll tell you what. That's not the last time that your lock of the week will be wrong.
Oh yeah, well yeah, well we'll already know by the time.
I know, yeah, this is really funny. Yeah, all of these like comments are just really awkward because,
yeah, it's gonna be the fucking. I don't know who's another who else is nominated? Not Kenneth Branagh or Jane Campion.
Probably. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna look it up.
The thing is, Denis Villeneuve isn't actually nominated for Best Director for Dune.
Yeah.
Which is
I shall tell you who's nominated for Best Director, and the answer is Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. Oh, this is an obvious one. Paul Thomas Anderson. And
Licorice Pizza.
Yeah, this really obscure director, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, it is weird that he's nominated for Best Picture, and West Side Story, of course, is a very famous movie, and just nobody's really talking about it.
I know, it's quite funny, yeah. Yeah, like that's the thing, like, I don't really care about West Side Story. I mean, I said it before, West Side Story, it's kind of a classic. Who cares about some new version? Yeah,
I guess so. No, and especially Ansel Elgort being in it. But anyway, we'll get to the new version of West Side Story next year. But yeah, back to this year. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so yeah, it was my lock of the week. Yeah, how did it not win? But anyway, so yeah, we talked about the shots. Of course, we had to the beauty of the American West, but also this movie isn't just about the shots of the American West, Michael. It actually has a plot, does it? I don't know. The thing is, the movie starts off and you get where it's going. Like she's learning about all the stuff to do with being a nomad, learning the tricks of the trade, learning how not to kill herself. Learning that it can be more than a refuge, it can be a place where you can thrive and enjoy yourself. If you embrace this lifestyle, it can perhaps be better than normal living. And then we get into actual, just what I like to call the meandering part of the movie.
Yeah.
Because David Rooney, from The Hollywood Reporter, he came up with the phrase, well, not the phrase, he called it meandering, and I think that's a very good description. He said the film is a powerful character study. Yeah, that's good. It's a study more than an arc, and that's where... Again, an issue we'll get to at the end. And added, like Zhao's earlier work, Nomadland is an unassuming film. It's absolutely meandering, unhurried, non-narrative, layering impressions rather than building a story with the standard markers. That is the middle of the movie. It's just not really in a rush to do anything.
Yeah.
Just going through this woman's life. And yeah, you said you found this... This is probably the bit you found boring, right?
Yeah. It's just like really... I mean, yeah, it's difficult because obviously there is technical stuff to appreciate, but yeah, there is this aspect of kind of not really knowing where it's going, or also kind of, to some extent, and again, I don't want to totally understate, like, obviously the thematic stuff, but like what the film is trying to say, or like even, yeah, kind of, I guess, what the overriding thing is the film's trying to communicate. So it's kind of
just trying to communicate what the nomad lifestyle is.
Yeah. And
but that, of course, means there isn't really a plot there doesn't need to be a plot alongside that, and Chloe Zhao has clearly thought, therefore I'm not going to have a plot alongside it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I would say it's kind of one of those weird things where, like, there are definitely moments of kind of like, oh yeah, I can, like, a lot of the kind of conversations are quite interesting, but yeah, somehow, I think, yeah, the film does feel, ironically, considering it's about, like, driving around, directionless. Like, it's sort of like there's individual scenes that are interesting, but it's hard to kind of have any sense of where the film's going. And there are, like, obviously other films which are slow-paced and kind of meander and have, like, long, drawn-out, slow-paced dialogue scenes. But a lot of films, not every film, but a lot of films, you, like, have a sense of, okay, I know where this is going, though. And there's, like, something that kind of, I guess, gives the film a sense of momentum. I think that's kind of one of the things of this film. It doesn't really feel like it's moving on to the next thing, which is, again, obviously by design. But I think it does, at the end of the day, make it feel a little bit like, you're just like, okay, yeah, then that happened, and now this thing is happening.
Yeah, like I said, until the end, I found it fine.
Yeah.
But so he continues by the way. But the cumulative effect of its many quiet, seemingly inconsequential encounters and moments of solitary contemplation is a unique portrait of outsider existence. And yeah, I agree. It is like, I've never seen a movie like this. Never, and it's interesting to, that's what it is. It's a portrait of these people, of these nomads.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're obviously, they're very unusual certainly in Western society. So yeah, that's all it is. And that is, yeah, if you can appreciate that, that's fine. And so yeah, basically Frances McDormand's character Fern just meets with various characters in this life. Swanky, of course, good old Swanky, who's
you just can't get over mentioning Swanky.
Yeah, and nice story that she tells about it, and encourages her to experience her life, with her stories, and she goes to the Badlands National Park and works there, and no, she is seemingly living the life to the fullest, and there is again a sense of authenticity, which is great throughout the movie.
You could say the film went from no Badlands to Badlands.
Okay, that's great. That's funny. Is it really funny? Is it?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay. So, but basically, yeah, this lifestyle is enriching her life, watching Jupiter and so on. And of course, she meets Dave, but then after Dave leaves, then you get the flip side. You understand how lonely it can be if you are a nomad.
Yeah.
All these great things have happened to her. Like, her life seems a lot better. Like, when she's with Dave at the Badlands National Park, it's like, oh, clearly, she's very glad she's chosen this life. But then when there's nobody there, well, this is how bad it can be. It gets lonely. If you get lucky and you know somebody and you strike up a friendship, then that can be great. But unless that happens, yeah, you can just be alone. And then, there is, of course, issues. If your car breaks down, you might get fucked, which, of course, Fern is, because you probably don't have a lot of money in this lifestyle. And if your house can't, like, break down,
yeah.
you can, I guess,
and also, like, even
extent.
if you had money, like, where can you put it? Like, in your van? You just lose your van.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I do. Again, this is just a study of someone who becomes a nomad. The pros, then the cons. The pros. Oh yeah, it's so much nicer than just regular living. You get to be out in nature, get to just go where you like. That's great. It's empowering. But then it can be lonely. These are the cons. And yeah, your van could break down and it could cost a lot of money. And yeah, you could just get rid of the van. But of course, it means so much to you. Like that, it's probably another negative that you hold so much sentimental value towards this van that you can't just get rid of it, even if it is a piece of shit. So yeah. Anything to say on that part of the movie? I guess you've already said you kind of find it quite dull.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's got some like interesting tension to it, and yeah, obviously there are like back and forth things, but yeah, I pretty much said everything I need to say.
Well, that's the thing. It's a slice of life. I can appreciate it. I was like, just showing you the complete picture of the nomad lifestyle, so you really get a sense of what it is, the good things, the bad things. But yeah, obviously, then she goes to live with her sister. Well, not really live, just spend like a night there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I like how much she defends the nomad lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it doesn't make sense for a lot of people to do something like that, obviously. And what I like, again, is you, like myself, started off with that notion, and then by this point in the movie, you completely understand why she's done it, like the logic. But yeah, I did like this because the conflict is probably real. That's probably what Chloe Zhao and whoever wrote the Nomadland book, what they got a sense out of it, that the nomads definitely get annoyed if you look down on them for being nomads.
Yes.
Like how she reacts at that family barbecue is probably very authentic because I guess you'd react the same, right? If someone just
someone made fun of me for being homeless, I'd say, "Oi, I don't want your damn house."
No, you're not homeless. You're
houseless.
houseless.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
See, they'd go off at you at that.
Yeah,
so,
that is true. Yeah, I guess I'd be the one getting shouted at by Frances McDormand at a picnic.
Yeah. It was a barbecue.
Yeah, sorry. I always get my outdoor eating confused. I'm just so used to being in a house. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I don't know. Did you like that? Like
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, it was interesting, and obviously, I mean, it does have. And obviously, she kind of on the reverse. I mean, you could say she's a hypocrite though, because she does criticize like people living in a house. She's like, "Oh, do you really want to go into debt just to have a house?"
But that's what I love. Like the tension between them. Like one of them slinging shit at the other. That's fun.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. She makes a good point. Like it's a good point. She's not trying to be unhypocritical. She's just trying to like defend her position because she does think her position is the best. She's not like being, you choose your life, I choose my life, blah, blah, blah. That's not it. She's like, no, my life is the best. I have chosen the right path.
Yeah.
There you go. So I just like that. That bit was nice. Because Nomads definitely. I mean, think about it. Like people think you're crazy. You have to like just say fuck them.
Yeah, that's true.
Fuck all the house dwellers. Shouldn't they have like a?
Oh yeah, they should have a word like how like 4chan calls like regular people normies. If you're like,
I think that's
homies?
Everyone now.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, not just 4chan.
Yeah, it has spread. There should be a word for it. I feel like there's a thing in The Simpsons where like Homer makes friends with a bunch of like RV enthusiasts and they like make fun of Marge, and I can't remember what it is. They're just like, I can't remember. I swear they like use a term to describe her that makes her annoyed.
Yeah, no, but I like that anyway. But anyway, so so we get to the end of the movie, Michael, and so like we've said, there isn't really much of a plot. She's just meandering out through her life. This is what being a nomad is kind of like. These are the even your family. Your family probably that's probably what a lot of nomads communicated to Chloe Zhao and Frances McDormand and whoever else. It's like, oh yeah, our families just think we're weirdos. Like our families think we're a bunch of weirdos. So that's in the movie again. It's just all about creating this complete picture. But then we come to this point in the movie where, of course, we're getting some plot back because she, goes to visit Dave, and Dave has kind of abandoned the nomad lifestyle because he's living back in a house again. He's a traitor, Michael. He's a traitor to the nomad
and then they
cause.
kill him just to like punish him.
Yeah. And again, I was thinking, okay, is she going to have a big argument with Dave then about whether she should live in his house or in this house with him, or she should go back to the nomad lifestyle? It's like it's a real crossroad moments for her, and then it just feels like I was expecting that confrontation because I could see. I was watching, you pause the movie for whatever, and you say, "Oh, we've got 15 minutes to go here," or something like that. So, we're close to the end of the movie. We're about to see a confrontation. We're about to see, the end point to this. And I thought it was building up to: should you stay with this lifestyle, or should you, go back to not being a nomad? And she just leaves. Then she just fucking leaves, doesn't she?
Yeah, no, yeah. You know what? Actually, here's another thing. Okay, and this was like me trying to. You can't say, even though I was a bit bored, you can't say that I didn't like try to keep thinking about this film, because I did actually think to myself, oh, it's kind of interesting that a nomad settles on a farm, because obviously it used to be like we were all nomads, and then what ended that? The agricultural revolution. And I almost thought to myself, like, oh, wouldn't it be crazy if like
that civilization?
I was kind of like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be like mental if like this film actually ended up being some kind of covert allegory for human history? And I realized like this was the first time I watched it, and I realized like how little time there was left, and I was like, okay, that's definitely not going to happen. And I think it was 100% accidental, but I just thought to myself, oh, it's kind of funny they went from being nomadic to living on a farm, which is obviously like settled agriculture. And I was thinking, oh yeah, what would they do next? Would they start taking slaves? But no, they didn't, thankfully. But yeah,
wow.
But yeah, that's the thing. So what I'm kind of saying there is like, even then I was kind of thinking like, is the fact, so like obviously, yeah, the point there is I was thinking like, could the fact that she's settling on this farm communicate something meaningful and substantial? Is this going to give us some kind of, like maybe catharsis or conflict, something like that, which I guess is sort of what you were thinking. And yes, the answer is no. she does kind of just leave.
Yeah,
and it almost seems like there wasn't really any point to it.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like, she's with the baby, and you know, I was expecting like, oh, you know, I've lived in this life, and she's like, I can't do it, I can't go back. You know, having that conversation with Dave, and then she leaves. But yeah, it is like she's at a crossroads, and she just decides not to just go to the crossroads, and she just decides to like turn back from the crossroads. It was really just unsatisfying at the end. And so that's the bit I didn't like. And then, so I was like, oh, okay, right, she's just left, fine then. And then we end up talking about, you know, with fucking Bob, whatever he's called.
Yeah.
About her husband and getting over his death. And I was like, wait, it feels, it doesn't feel like that was something that was, you know.
That central.
Well, yeah, we weren't building up to that, it feels like. You know, like she talks about her husband and whatever, but you know, it's, you know, he obviously shares the story of his son's suicide, and you know, Bob espouses the view that goodbyes are not final in the Nomad community, as its members always promise to see each other again down the road. And then, you know, I think, you know, if the movie built up to this, you know, getting over her husband, that would feel like, okay, this is a good ending. But the movie doesn't really build up to that, does it?
No, yeah, not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it just felt like kind of tacked on at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, like that's the thing, because it felt like kind of substantial and meaningful when he said it. But like, yeah, that's the thing. Like this film, yeah, definitely
this is
it
the
lacks
ending
focus.
climax. Yeah, sorry. This is the ending climax of the movie, and it's just, oh right, I didn't really know she was still struggling to, I don't know, get over her husband's death or what to do about his life, and I guess maybe she. You know, of course, she goes back to Empire.
Yeah, which I do think is like it's like an interesting scene in a way, like just because it's like a ghost town. Like the thing is, I found that in like a superficial sense cool, because it's like, oh look, it's like this completely abandoned factory, abandoned houses, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like in terms of actually rounding up the film or whatever, I mean, it was all right. Again, you know, like at least it was like, oh, she's going back to where she started, but it just didn't feel like it was really getting at anything.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe there's a theme about, you know, her running from her pain. That's what she was with being a nomad. Now she's confronting it, and you know, and she says goodbye. And you know, there's a difference between running away from something and saying goodbye and leaving. You know, there's a distinction there. But I don't know. That's all I could think about what that last bit was, because I didn't really know how it gels with what she's been doing throughout the movie. Like, yeah, it just didn't seem like it fit very well, and I'm scratching my head trying to figure out why this, because again the movie was not building up to this point, and it just made me feel when the movie ended, it was like, oh okay, that was again kind of unsatisfying at the end. Like the plot, you didn't make the plot decisions that I would have, and that was shit. And then you ended the movie with something which I didn't even know was a conflict within her, like her husband's stuff. You know, it didn't. Yeah, because the movie didn't really focus on that at all. So okay, I guess we're done then. Yeah, so that the ending was a real issue for me, like I've said. But anyway, Michael, got anything more to say before we conclude or not?
Wait, let me just double check. And indeed, the answer is no.
Oh, just tell me, Frances McDormand, did she deserve Best Actress?
Okay, wait. You know what? I'm actually going to just really quickly remind myself who else was in contention.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So Viola Davis, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Okay, yeah, that was a good performance.
Andra Day, The United States versus Billie Holiday, as Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
Vanessa Kirby, The Pieces of a Woman, as Martha Weiss. And Carey Mulligan, Promising Young Woman, as Cassandra Cassie
Okay.
Thomas.
Oh my goodness. Okay. You know what? I don't think that the Billie Holiday performance, I did actually see it. I did see that film. It wasn't a good film. That's an example of like an okay performance. Again, it wasn't a great performance in like a not very good film. Pieces of a Woman, I think I saw that. Oh, that's the film with Shia LaBeouf, isn't it? Okay. That film was, again, okay. I would say, but you know what? I think there's a pretty strong argument it should have gone to Viola Davis.
Yeah, even more impressive as, you know, she doesn't actually just play Ma Rainey. Like, specifically, she plays Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
That is true. She does. She actually...
That's the only... Yeah, that's the role she plays, and she still puts in a great performance with the limits placed upon her.
That's funny. Yeah, bottoms often aren't very expressive, so like the amount of depth she was able to bring to the role was incredible.
So that's why I went for her as my pick last year.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Of course, you called it when you predicted McDormand.
I know,
so
which is
you
kind of
think she
crazy.
deserved
Yeah.
it?
I mean, I guess the thing is, I think it's a bit of a toss-up, and I would say on balance, yeah, I can't say like there was clearly somebody who would have been much better. You know.
Okay. Well, you know what, Michael? You know what? I think, fine, give it to her. I mean, she literally does carry the movie. It's a very good performance.
Yeah.
You know, so, if you're going to have someone in this role, Frances McDormand is probably your number one pick for it. She does very well with these kind of like everyday American like characters who are kind of sweet, even though she doesn't really seem like that in real life, but that's how it is. Frances McDormand deserved, I guess. So anyway, conclude, Michael. It's time for that. You go first.
And the good news is, because this is like such a short thing, I can take as long concluding as I like. Okay, yeah. This film, I mean, well, part of the issue is we've not had much to say about it. We've had more to say about every other film, which isn't necessarily great, because I do think it does lead to a conclusion that, as far as Best Picture winners go, this film might be a little bit forgettable. Now, having said that, there are other Best Picture winners which are unforgettable because they were so bad and it's ridiculous they even won. But in the case of this film, it is like, I almost feel like if you lined up every single Best Picture winner from like the last 20 years or whatever, this film might rank bottom in terms of like the film I'd most want to see again. Again, admittedly, some of that would be because like films like Crash are so bad that I find them funny.
Green Book.
Yeah, I mean, Green Book, I've said before, I find Green Book like to be like kind of trashy emotional manipulation entertainment, just because it's so like it's just so soppy. Anyway, but the important thing is, let's talk about this film. So the main issue is that obviously not only is this film boring in like a kind of just superficial sense, but also it's not really getting at anything, I feel, like that deep. And you compare it to other films, like I said, there are plenty of slow-paced films, but they do seem to be getting at something. And I think technically this film was good, but I will say that I don't think like the technicalness or technical proficiency means that this film is so great that it's worth sitting through. Again, obviously the classic contrast would be Roma. Roma still had more of a plot, but like Roma was technically phenomenal, and like there were all of these really incredible shots and all that stuff. This film was good. I would not say it was technically phenomenal. And with that said, I will also say I don't think.
Rating?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give this film a low 6, and that's because really the only thing that elevates this film, like I say, is just the okay cinematography.
I am also going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
I am also. I thought you might have gone lower, but yeah, I think 6 out of 10. I think it's fair. Again, it would have got like a 7 if I think the ending was decent.
Yeah,
but the ending again wasn't decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like some people really love this movie, and I didn't really love it. I just liked it. Again, appreciate it for what it is. You can have a good time relaxing in getting to know the Nomads, and I guess Chloe Zhao and Frances McDormand obviously wanted to give you a complete picture of what this lifestyle is, inform you as much as possible, and use the character of Fern as a vehicle, quite literally, through that. through this lifestyle to navigate you. This is everything, the good, the bad. This is what they have to do. They have a real community, and then it's just like the ending just didn't. Unfortunately, I don't think you struck the landing. It's fine to meander throughout everything, with the beautiful shots of the American West, but just the ending just wasn't that great. Again, as you can tell, that's the real issue. And without, like I said, if it was good, the ending, I would have given it 7 out of 10, which isn't that high. Certainly not for Best Picture.
Yeah.
But it's a fine, respectable score. But 6 out of 10. Yeah, not definitely not my Best Picture winner last year. Several movies ahead of it, including some that we've reviewed. Even like Mank got a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I will say this: I literally would have rather any film other than this one Best Picture. But admittedly, for like 3 of those films, or is it for just 2 of those films, it would be because it would be so funny if they won Best Picture. But for the rest, boring. For the rest of the films though, The Father, Judas, Mank, Minari, Sound of Metal, it's actually because I would find them better films.
Yes. Okay. So you mentioned, of course, The Father and Minari. That is what we are going to review next week, Michael. We are doing 2 movies, The Father and Minari, to close out last year's Oscars, and we are also going to rank all of the Oscar movies or Best Picture nominated movies from last year as well. We will rank them and see what we think should have won Best Picture last year from the nominations. And of course, we will at the same time have our Oscar results by then.
Yes.
So we will know who did the best and who did the worst from that. Join us next week for that. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
I've been Luke, and thank you for listening to our review of Nomadland. Goodbye.
Goodbye.